I know what you're thinking. Men cannot possibly be attached to us in the same way we are to them. Well, that's not entirely true. So the question you should be asking isn't, do soul ties affect men? But rather, how do they affect them? What does the concept of soul ties even represent? Well, if you read on, you will find out all about it. You will also be acquainted with the different kinds of soul ties and the effects they can have on you. So, buckle up and let's get going. What are soul ties? What we mean by soul ties is essentially an inexplicably deep connection that brings two people closer together. Quite often it drives away everything else due to its intensity, but at other times it makes everything more lovely simply because it exists. In this article, we will mostly talk about soul ties in romantic relationships. However, there are other types of relationships where they can emerge. Just think of Jonathan and David from the Bible. A soul tie can be purely platonic, and you can form it with your friends, family members, and even people who merely serve as your spiritual guide, that is, your karmic soulmates. Some soul ties are stronger than others, but they nevertheless hold great importance. This has never been about comparison, but rather about cherishing what you have and rejecting any type of jealousy. The more real you are, the stronger your soul tie, let's face it. If you keep focusing on what others possess, you will never be at peace. Instead, you will be filled with envy that will rarely allow any other feeling to take over. How then do you expect to form a sincere connection with another human being? Nothing will happen if you keep looking in other directions. You can't expect a more powerful soul tie if you don't appreciate it in its present intensity. The intensity heightens only when you put in effort and show your real self. Think about that for a while. Do soul ties affect men? They most certainly do. I know many have made you believe that men are primarily sexual creatures, whereas women are the emotional ones. However, this is just a biased opinion. You cannot put anything in a box because we are all individuals before we are men or women. Just as we, men, can experience an epic love and be connected to someone for life. Powerful feelings aren't limited to women. They just talk about them more because it's more socially acceptable for them to do so. So, yes, women don't love more than men, nor vice versa. Each person should be perceived as one whole and treated as such. What are the signs of soul ties? Do you have doubts as to whether your man actually reciprocates your feelings? Do soul ties affect men at all? Well, worry not, because the signs are fairly easy to recognize. You only need to know what to look for. If you're not sure what that is, you will find your answers below. 1. Deeply connected. When guys have a soul tie with you, they feel a profound emotional connection. You are no longer two individuals because your love is so great that you have merged. They can sense and predict your emotions and use this ability to love you in the way they can the best. Essentially, they just know that you're the one. 2. You are a constant shadow. Even while leading their normal everyday lives, you are always in the back of their mind. Every other thought is secondary, and it is there merely because it has to be. But you are there because you make them feel glad to be alive. If they work, they eagerly anticipate a break just to hear your voice. They wake up every morning with extreme excitement knowing that you await their arrival. You appear in their dreams and are a constant shadow wherever they go. 3. Filled with curiosity. They won't just pay attention to your appearance, but will rather be interested in what makes you you. Their mind will be full of questions, and they won't hesitate to ask you all about it. What they see in front of them is a person whom they know so well, and yet they are forever curious about every new little thing they notice. Boredom is never a visitor because all that you are overwhelms them with excitement. 4. No longer a closed book. When a person's soul is offered to you, that's how you know it's real. So, if your man found refuge by your side and feels safe being emotionally vulnerable, that's a sign that they're emotionally attached to you. They know you will understand because essentially you are a part of them. How could you not be? There is no fear nor discomfort, just pure emotions and raw honesty. Do soul ties affect men? As you can see, they truly do. 5. In love with life. When men see their soulmate for the first time, they are filled with energy that doesn't leave them even years after their first encounter. Each activity brings them joy, even those they despise, simply because there is a human being out there who makes life beautiful. Things can't easily annoy them, except those that stand in the way of the strong bond they have developed with their long-sought twin flame. 6. Reminders of you everywhere. Men who feel so tied to you that you constantly occupy their minds also find you in everything they see. Things assume the shape of you, and each thought that was once something else transforms itself into a thought of you. You are never truly absent even when you're far away. 7. Attached to you. They don't just become connected to you, but rather feel as if they would perish without you by their side. The intense feelings they develop turn you into a holy being in their eyes. Not a day goes by that they don't seek you out to spend time with you. Your face brings comfort, and your words are gospel. Nothing else matters much. 8. Everyone else fades away. Every past relationship and every person who's currently in their life is unimportant. The only one who matters is you. This is truly the greatest sign of a soul tie. Your man feels so connected to you that they don't only refuse to seek someone else, but they rather don't even feel the need to. What they want is already there. 9. Much more than just chemistry. What they feel for you isn't just a spark, but rather a firm emotional bond. You will recognize it yourself if it has happened because you can always just feel it in the air. Such extreme emotions never go unnoticed. They are marked by the everlasting peace that's often visited by wild emotions that make you both feel alive. 10. Ruled by what they feel. Do soul ties affect men? Well, they do more than that. If they are strong enough, they can actually overpower every other feeling and rule them entirely. This may sound poetic, but it can actually represent a big problem. That's because when you're too dependent on someone, they become responsible for your happiness. If they happen to leave, what do you have left? What types of soul ties are there? As you may have assumed, there is more than just one type of soul tie. It doesn't necessarily revolve around romantic love or any kind of love for that matter. Sometimes it simply inspires you to figure out what your path in life is, and at other times, it is only disguised as love, all the while destroying your life. If you want to know what I mean by this, here are all the types of soul ties you can form throughout your life. Spiritual soul ties. This type of soul tie helps you find your purpose in life. Now that purpose can be of a religious nature. This person may help you find your way to God. On the other hand, if you're not such a devoted Christian, or a follower of any other religion for that matter, they may bring you closer to whatever you consider to be your religion. It may be nature, faith in your own experiences, or even nothing at all. The bottom line is that you have a spiritual connection with them that inspires you to either embrace what was already there or to seek what wasn't, but what you so desperately needed. Emotional soul ties. This type of soul tie holds great power because it involves a feeling of familiarity. You feel comfortable enough to share everything that makes up the real you. The closeness between you allows you to always confide in each other as well as share news of joy. They are your go-to person. Even if you have other trustworthy people, you always feel happiest when you bond with them. Sexual soul ties. After engaging in a sexual relationship, high levels of oxytocin are released, making the bond with your partner even greater. Sex isn't always simply about two bodies merging together. Sometimes your souls merge right along with them. The level of intimacy just grows, and you feel closer to each other than you ever were before. On the other hand, if you hadn't previously formed a strong soul connection, then becoming sexual partners holds no meaning either. It is nothing but casual sex that makes the soul tie fall apart as soon as the relationship ends. Godly soul ties. When you and your partner are connected by this type of soul tie, then you inspire each other to lead pious lives entirely devoted to Jesus Christ. 2 Corinthians 10:5 states that we ought to take captive every thought to make it obedient to Christ, and this is what you both live by. What's written in the Bible always comes first. Your love is shown in the way you encourage each other to always obey God's commands. You help each other feel more connected to the Holy Spirit, and this is why your soul tie is so strong. Sharing the same beliefs and values brings you closer together. Ungodly soul ties. As you can assume, if a soul tie is ungodly, that means it distances you away from God. How? Well, this happens when your feelings for your partner become so strong that they turn into utter admiration. You start perceiving them as a holy being that deserves to be adored. All the while you stray away from the path of religion. Healthy soul ties. When you have a healthy relationship with someone, you will know by the way they make you feel. Not only will you be happy that you're with them, but you will be happy with yourself as well. They will inspire you to become a better person than you were yesterday, all the while appreciating what you have to offer today. You won't be with them because you can't live without them, but rather because they add value to your life. Unhealthy soul ties. Sadly, soul ties aren't always as beautiful as they sound. This is because sometimes, even long after you break up with your partner, the attachment still remains and affects your life. You can't seem to move on. It is also possible that the relationship is still alive but bad for your overall well-being. When this happens, remember my words. Your soulmate is supposed to make you feel good about yourself and your life. So, any relationship that contains more chaos than peace isn't worth having. What are the effects of soul ties? That depends on the nature of the soul tie. Some may provide you with infinite energy and make you await each day with joy, while others are merely temporary, and when they break you along with them. Essentially, this type of emotional bond can make you stronger or it can destroy you altogether. Is it worth the risk? I'd say so. Can soul ties be one-sided? The answer is yes. It is possible to feel a strong connection to someone who doesn't reciprocate your feelings. Perhaps they care about you, but just with lesser intensity than you care about them, or you simply hold no significance in their life at all. Moreover, soul ties can be mutual only to break apart after some time. As sad as it is, not all emotions are eternal. Sometimes they vanish all of a sudden, and all you're left with is the memories of what once was. It's time to let go. Breaking soul ties is sometimes necessary for the sake of your mental health, but it's important to do it in a healthy way. If your soulmate no longer feels the same about you, at least try to find comfort in the past. Don't hold on to anger. Appreciate what you used to have, but let go. Other connections impatiently await you to let them in. Can you have multiple soul ties? You indeed can. You are never limited to forming a close relationship with only one person throughout your life. I know that upon making a new connection, you must feel like you're betraying what you once had. But that couldn't be further from the truth. The connection you have now does not erase the significance of the one that came before it. Each is equally valuable, and don't you ever forget that. Is a soul tie bad? No, but it can be. Do you measure your self-worth by how much your partner loves you? Do you feel like your life has absolutely no meaning in their absence? If so, then I'm afraid you need to reshape your thinking. The "do soul ties affect men" question ceased to be important, and another one popped up. What do you do when your man is no longer affected by the soul tie? You are worthy on your own. Being loved may be the greatest feeling in the world, but if you don't love yourself enough to be able to live without their love and validation, then you have a problem. You need to be more gentle with yourself. You need to realize how worthy you are just by being alive. There is no need to prove yourself through success, nor to wait for someone to offer you their affection. What you have is valuable, and once you realize that, the love others give you will only add to the love you already have for yourself. Not everyone deserves to be fought for. The truth is, when you believe that you have found your soulmate, you are prepared to overcome each obstacle you are presented with. Yes, this is quite admirable, but you also need to learn to differentiate between a problem and constant drama. If your partner never lifts a finger in order to make you happy the same way you try to make them happy, then I'm afraid what you have formed is a negative soul tie. Remember, no matter how great your love for someone is, if you notice a lack of effort on their part, it's time to call it quits. Don't pursue them anymore and delete them from all social media. Find those who truly care about you. Final thoughts. Do soul ties affect men? Can they love you as much as you love them? As you can see, all of these questions stem from a biased opinion that men are primarily rational beings. Well, they're not. They only learn to act in a rational way because that's what's expected of them. But they can and do feel as much as you. Instead of perceiving your partner as a man, try perceiving him as a person who possesses their own wishes and needs that have nothing to do with other members of their gender.